Early one morning, Chiaki and Sahara were waiting for the walk signal at the crosswalk. Sahara noticed Chiaki staring blankly again, so he lightly bopped her on the head. That snapped her back, and she told him about something strange she had heard about this crossing, that sometimes a spirit appears here, and anyone who sees the girl dies soon after. While Chiaki was telling the story, Sahara noticed a girl standing in the middle of the crosswalk. The child muttered something to Sahara. Without thinking, he stepped toward her, and in the next moment, he was struck by a truck. 3 days later, Sahara stood at the front of his school as the bell rang, signaling the start of class. He went inside, removed his shoes, placed them on the rack, and ran barefoot through the hallways. Rushing to his classroom, he greeted his classmates even though the lesson had already begun. No one reacted, not his friends, not even the teacher. Realizing this, Sahara took advantage of the situation. He moved toward the teacher's podium and peeked at his classmates' panties, which were visible from there. Still, no one noticed. No matter what he did, no one could see or hear him. Curious, he climbed onto the desks, hopping from one table to another. He stopped by Chiaki's seat and greeted her, complimenting her neat handwriting and how seriously she fit the role of class president. He crouched down and stared at her face, but she showed no reaction. Sahara moved on. He passed by Taku, who was drawing a manga in the middle of class, despite having been warned many times that doing so would get him labeled a gross otaku. Sahara told Watabe to stop picking on Taku, since it was getting annoying, and he also told Shigeru that he would not forgive him for drinking his milk. Next was Ren's desk. Her eyes were still red. Sahara quietly thanked her, knowing she had cried the most when he died. Finally, he returned to his own seat. He sat down and looked at the flower vase filled with flowers and the pictures of himself. Sahara reflected on what had happened 3 days earlier, the moment he was hit by the truck. The impact caused chaos at the crossing. Ren ran toward Chiaki, who was sitting on the ground, and asked if she was all right. Chiaki could only mutter that Sahara had been hit right in front of her, and Ren's expression immediately darkened. An ambulance soon arrived and rushed Sahara away in critical condition. Ren helped Chiaki to her feet and pulled her away from the scene. Nearby, Sahara stood beside the child he had seen earlier, watching everything unfold. He remained frozen in shock as he watched his own body being loaded into the ambulance, unable to accept what was happening. Looking around, Sahara noticed 2 students from his school arguing as they fought over taking pictures of the accident. He turned to his right and saw Taku standing there, pale and trembling in disbelief. Sahara asked Taku if he was dead, and wondering why everyone was acting as if they couldn't see or hear him. But Taku didn't react. Instead, Taku muttered to himself that Sahara had died because of him, because he had once cursed him and wished he would die. The thought made Taku feel sick, and he suddenly vomited, causing nearby students to recoil in disgust. Sahara crouched beside him, trying to comfort him, telling him it wasn't his fault. But Taku couldn't hear a word. Elsewhere, one of Sahara's classmates confronted the student taking pictures, demanding she delete them. The girl responded by calling him a pervert and a molester. Sahara begged them to stop fighting over him, but once again, no one heard his voice. Back in the classroom, their classmates gathered around Chiaki, asking if she was all right since she had witnessed the accident. The crowd slowly closed in on her, until Ren told everyone to give her some space for now. Then one of their friends asked Ren if she was okay, mentioning that she had cared deeply about Sahara. Ren tried to deny it, but a tear slipped from her eye. She broke down, crying while still insisting it wasn't true. She apologized over and over for crying, saying that Chiaki was the one who was really hurting and that she had taken her place instead. Ren continued to apologize, but her friends, and Chiaki as well, began to comfort her instead. Back in the present, Sahara smiled as he looked at his desk. He stood and quietly thanked everyone. He apologized to Taku for being mean to him, and thanked Ren for liking him. If he were still alive, he would have gone out with her. He was grateful to have shared the same class with them, to have become their friend. He took one last look at the classroom before leaving. Since he was already dead, they probably hadn't heard any of it. After school, As the students began heading home, Sahara and the child waited by the crossing where he had died. Soon, he noticed Chiaki walking up and stopping at the same spot. Sahara called out to her, asking why she had killed him, why she had shoved him back then. He asked if she had held a grudge against him, and whether she would do it again to someone else. Of course, Chiaki couldn't hear a word. Still, Sahara and the child stared at her. Sahara was dead, so his voice would never reach her. But that didn't matter anymore. With the child, who had been waiting a long time for this, he would make sure everyone learned the truth. Chiaki would not be the only one to know what she had done. 10 years earlier, when they were still children, Sahara was running around pretending to be a kamen rider. Spotting Taku, he ran up and poked him, calling him a glass Martian. Taku screamed, and before Sahara could react, someone karate chopped him on the neck, sending him flying. It was Ren. Ren warned Sahara to stop bullying Taku, or she would beat him for real. Sahara only laughed as he ran away, calling her a gorilla and saying she had already beaten him once. Taku thanked Ren as they both watched Sahara run off to play with Chiaki and another kid. Sahara shouted for Chiaki, telling her they were going to defeat the gorilla together. He ran ahead and found Chiaki standing by the crossing. Complaining that she was late, he asked her to help them defeat the gorilla. Instead, Chiaki mentioned Michi, which surprised Sahara that Michi was coming too. Just then, Michi appeared, kneeling in the middle of the crossing and happily calling out Sahara's name. Back in the present, at the crossing, Ren stood quietly, looking at the flowers that had been left for Sahara. Suddenly, two girls passed by, speaking loudly. They noticed the flowers and wondered if someone had died in an accident there. The blonde girl called it gross, but her friend quickly dragged her away, whispering that she might get cursed for saying something like that. Ren clenched her fists, anger flaring as she watched them leave, tempted to go after them. But the feeling quickly faded, replaced by sadness. Chiaki approached and greeted her, then pointed out that Ren's nose was running. Ren hadn't even noticed she was crying again, tears mixing with her runny nose. As they headed to school and stopped by the shoe racks, Chiaki asked why Ren hadn't stayed home again today. Ren denied it, insisting she wasn't that sad. Chiaki gently asked if it had something to do with Sahara. Ren immediately turned and ran off, telling Chiaki not to worry about it. She said she was heading to the infirmary since her tears and nose wouldn't stop. In her rush, she bumped into Taku, sending the manga pages he had been drawing scattering across the floor. Taku asked if she was okay, but Ren quickly stood up and ran off, snapping at him not to bring Arrow manga to school. Ren lay down on the infirmary bed, staring at the ceiling as everything she had done replayed in her mind. She had cried in front of Chiaki, lashed out at Taku, and now wondered if she had always been this weak. Ren didn't realize she liked Sahara this much. A commotion outside pulled her thoughts away. It was the same girls she had seen at the crossing earlier. They were talking about a rumor, about a girl who appeared at the crossing, and how the recent accident made it seem real. Suddenly, a man smacked the blonde girl on the head, snapping that she never learned. The blonde snapped back, asking if it was him again and whether he had some kind of grudge against her. The two continued arguing as Ren watched from the infirmary doorway. Everyone seemed tense lately, easily angered, as if on edge. Ren lay back down, but then she caught a glimpse through the window. Sahara and Michi standing outside, watching. Before she could react, Chiaki stepped in, asking if she was coming back to class. Ren replied that she was fine now and apologized for worrying her. Chiaki brushed it off, teasing that Ren crying was kind of cute, then added more seriously that Ren should go home if she wasn't feeling well. Ren insisted she was fine, saying she wasn't that sad anyway. Still, she admitted she felt strangely relieved, as if Sahara were right beside her. She immediately apologized for saying something strange, but Chiaki simply changed the subject, mentioning that Kenta, the guy who had hit the blonde girl earlier, had been in a bad mood. Kenta, the delinquent-looking guy everyone found a little scary, had been upset ever since the accident. He was Michi's older brother. Ren asked who Michi was. Chiaki explained that years ago, there had been another accident at the crossing. Michi was the child Sahara used to play with. Chiaki added, almost softly, that Michi was really cute. After school, as Chiaki and Ren prepared to head home, Ren wanted to apologize to Taku, but Chiaki told her it was unnecessary, since it seemed like Taku was actually happy getting hit by her. Chiaki then brought up how, when they were kids, Ren and Taku used to play together all the time. Somewhere along the way in high school, they drifted apart. Ren replied that it was normal. Things change once you're in high school. Chiaki didn't quite agree. She said it felt like Taku wanted things to go back to how they used to be, and that Ren should try talking to him. Ren shook her head, saying that going back to the way things were felt impossible now, at least to her. Chiaki warned that if Ren didn't reach out, Taku might drift off somewhere. She added that Taku and Michi were alike, both shy, awkward, and easily left behind. Ren asked what kind of kid Michi had been. Chiaki explained that Michi lived in the same apartment building as them. Her parents were always working, and her older brother was busy with soccer. She was younger than the rest of them, but since she was their neighbor, Sahara and Chiaki naturally ended up looking after her. The three of them often played together back then. Michi was extremely shy. Whenever she noticed someone else nearby, she would hide. When she went missing, they would panic and search for her, only to find her hiding somewhere close. Chiaki said Michi's smile back then was cuter than anything else, and the thought that something bad might one day happen to her terrified her. After the accident, they had moved away immediately. Sahara probably never knew that. Ren apologized for asking about something so personal, but Chiaki told her it was fine. She said she was sure they were right beside her. Sahara tried to stop her, but of course, she couldn't hear him. When Chiaki and Ren reached the crossing, Chiaki rested her forehead against Ren's back and told her she didn't need to cry since Sahara was with her. Sahara's silhouette reached out, trying to stop Ren, but the signal was still red and cars continued to pass by. Chiaki wrapped her arms around Ren's shoulders and told her not to cry. When Ren cried, Chiaki felt like Ren was drifting somewhere far away, and that scared her. A transit bus approached the crossing. Sahara tried desperately to intervene, but it was useless. Suddenly, a sharp crack and a scream broke the tension. It was the blonde girl from earlier. She had dropped her phone, and a car crushed it beneath its tires. Ren let out a small chuckle, thinking the girl really was loud. The walking light finally turned green. Chiaki stepped into the crossing, then glanced back at Ren and reminded her to apologize to Taku tomorrow. Ren nodded in agreement. As they walked, Ren hesitated and brought something up. She remembered Sahara once talking about them being a trio, Sahara, Chiaki, and the cat. The cat they used to play with, the one she had once mistaken for another friend. Ren asked where the cat was now. Chiaki said it had been 10 years. The cat had died a long time ago. Her eyes darkened slightly as she added that the cat had been really cute too. Sahara found himself standing in front of a man who was supposedly able to see ghosts. Unfortunately, the guy was too busy chanting nonsense to notice him at all. He was in the middle of scamming a widow who had come to ask what her husband truly thought of her. The man claimed he could hear the husband's spirit, saying the dead man was apologizing for cheating. The widow broke down in tears, and the man casually added that her husband had died during intercourse. That was enough for Sahara. He'd had his fill of the man's bullshit and left the house. He returned to the crossing and lay down on the ground, staring up at the sky while half-heartedly planning his next move and occasionally glancing at the panties of passing students. Eventually, he sat up and turned to Michi. She had been a ghost far longer than he had, so he asked her about the spirit world. Michi didn't answer, she simply stared at him. Sahara sighed and hugged her, asking why she wouldn't talk. It had been 10 years since they last saw each other. He asked if she had seen through Chiaki's plan to kill again, if she knew that others had already died. Sahara said that the two of them were the only ones who could stop her now. They needed to gather their strength and do whatever they could. He even suggested asking other spirits for help, like the cat they used to play with. Michi still said nothing. Sahara muttered that this was getting depressing. He asked if she had always been this gloomy, and told her to remember the girl she used to be, to cry out so loudly that even the living could hear her voice. Before he could finish his rambling, a truck passed straight through him. knocking him off balance. Sahara fell face first onto the ground. He stayed there, lying at the crossing, and quietly asked Mishi what kind of girl she really was. He remembered her, but somehow couldn't recall what they used to do for fun together. Meanwhile, back at school, his classmates continued on with their lives as if nothing had changed. Sahara closed his eyes and muttered to himself that being forgotten was really hard. On the school rooftop, Taku was quietly working on his manga when the blonde girl's loud voice suddenly cut through the air. She was arguing with her friend, insisting that she didn't love Kenta. Her friend disagreed, pointing out that she talked about him all the time. The blonde girl snapped back, saying she was only talking about how he hit her. How was that love? She asked if her friend seriously thought she was a masochist. Under his breath, Taku muttered for them to shut up, thinking that this kind of nonsense was exactly why girls were so irritating. The friend admitted that Kenta did hit her, but claimed he always held back. She added that it didn't really matter, since he was hot. The blonde girl reluctantly agreed, saying his face was pretty nice. Her friend teased her about how romantic it all sounded. Taku continued mumbling insults to himself, until the blonde girl suddenly turned and called him out, telling him that if he had a problem, he should come over and say it to her face. Taku froze. He tried to tell them to keep it down, but lost his nerve and bolted instead. He ran straight into Ren, sending his manuscript pages flying everywhere. Ren looked like she wanted to say something. Panicking, Taku blushed and hurriedly placed one of his pages on the floor, offering it as a seat. Ren ignored it. She told him that Chiaki had told her to apologize, and she awkwardly began saying sorry for snapping at him earlier. Taku asked what she was apologizing for. Ren fell silent. It had been a long time since they'd spoken like this. Taku eventually said he didn't even remember the last time they talked, then correctly listing the exact number of years and days anyway. Ren admitted it wasn't that she didn't want to talk to him. They had just drifted apart. Back when they were kids, it hadn't mattered that they were a boy and a girl. They had played together with Sahara all the time. Ren found herself remembering those days, the three of them running around together. Taku told her she could talk to him the way she used to, if she wanted. Ren grew embarrassed and said he hadn't changed at all. Even when people picked on him, he stayed kind. Taku replied that Ren hadn't changed either. She was still cute, just like before. The comment caught Ren off guard, and she laughed, wondering how someone as violent as her could be called cute. Taku turned red and insisted he was serious. Ren told him to stop and brought up how Sahara used to call her a gorilla back then. Taku's expression darkened. He apologized and said that hearing about Sahara still felt wrong to him. Ren apologized too and said she should get going. Lunch was almost over. Before she could leave, Taku stopped her. He said there was nothing anyone could do about what had happened to Sahara. He was gone. He told her to forget about him, because seeing her sad was painful for him too. He preferred seeing her smile the way she used to. When Taku looked up at Ren, he saw tears welling in her eyes, and the words he was about to say died in his throat. The blonde girl muttered for them to shut up, adding that it wasn't like Ren was the one who had died, before calling everyone gross. Her friend flinched and told Mei to keep her voice down. Taku froze, caught off guard, while Ren flushed with embarrassment. Mei kept going. She said people were just trying to play the part of grieving classmates, acting like they were suffering the most. She added that what Taku had said earlier was actually more reasonable. Her friend told her she was going too far, but Mei ignored her. She brought up the earlier incident, recalling how she'd broken her phone. She mentioned how Ren had looked like she wanted to die while walking down the road. Mei laughed, wondering out loud if Ren thought there was no point in living anymore. Taku clenched his fists and whispered that what she was saying was disgusting, calling her insufferable, quietly, because he didn't have the courage to say it out loud. Ren, however, didn't argue. She agreed with Mei, calling herself disgusting. She said she wished she had died instead of Sahara, then turned and walked away. Mei shrugged and told Taku to forget about someone that annoying. She said there were plenty of other options, adding that Taku was too much baggage for Ren anyway. She even suggested he try dating boys instead, mentioning a guy who was always alone and seemed to get along with him. Finally, May's friend snapped and smacked her on the head, telling her she was too mean. She called May an idiot and pointed out that the guy she was talking about was the one who had died in the accident. May blinked and asked if she meant the one who always wore the school jacket. Her friend said yes and asked why. May frowned and said she'd always thought it was a jersey. Sahara's ghost was wearing his school jersey. May stood up, dusted herself off, and announced she was skipping class and going home. Her friend apologized to Taku before following her. Left alone on the rooftop, Taku began muttering Sahara's name over and over in a low, unsettling voice. Even though he was dead, Taku wondered why Sahara's name still refused to disappear. On her way home, May suddenly stopped in her tracks, wondering if they had recognized her. When she reached her house, her father, the scammer who claimed he could talk to spirits, greeted her and asked if she was feeling unwell. Surprised that she'd come home early, he cheerfully mentioned that he'd gotten a bonus and that they'd be having yakiniku for dinner. May ignored him and went straight to her room. She sat down, hugging her knees, quietly asking herself if she would be all right. She lowered her head, resting her forehead against her legs. Then she heard a clatter. Sahara's silhouette stood outside her window. He asked her how she knew what clothes he had been wearing when he died. May gasped, yanked the curtains shut, and kicked her door to shut out her father's voice. She rushed to her bed and pulled the blanket over herself, hiding beneath it. 10 years ago, there was a child who loved seeing the world through the lens of the phone her father had given her. That child was May. Her father worked as a spirit medium. May loved taking photos because the world she saw through the lens felt different from the one she lived in. One evening, as she walked home with her father, they passed by the crossing. When May lifted her phone, the camera picked up the image of a child standing in the middle of the road, someone who existed only on her screen. Her father calmly warned her to be careful and told her not to look at her phone in a place where cars passed by so often. Curious, young May asked if something had happened at that crossing. Her father replied that he had heard there was once a car accident there. May excitedly told him about the ghost her phone was capturing, a child standing in the crossing. She said the girl might have been the one who died there and that she was trying to communicate. She asked her father to perform the prayers he always did. Instead, her father looked straight into her eyes and told her that ghosts didn't exist. May had the ability to see spirits. That was why, 10 years later, when another accident happened right in front of her, her phone once again captured silhouettes, Mishi, whom she had seen as a child, and a new one beside her. Sahara, wearing a school jersey, the victim of the recent accident. May stared at her phone, trying to make sense of what she was seeing, when Kenta suddenly stopped her and grabbed her wrist. He told her that someone from his class had been involved in the accident. Kenta called her rotten and demanded that she hand over her phone so he could erase the photos she had taken. May slapped his hand away and snapped back, calling him a molester. Days later, as May was walking home with her friend, they spotted Chiaki and ran ahead of them. Her friend commented that the two looked like they were tormenting themselves, that whatever they were talking about must be serious. May, however, saw something completely different. Sahara's silhouette hovered, reaching toward Ren as if trying to pull her toward the crossing. Acting on instinct, May threw her phone onto the ground as a distraction. It worked. Another day on the school rooftop, it happened again. Sahara's silhouette stood nearby, watching Ren and Taku talk. May felt sick. No matter where she went, Sahara seemed to follow her. As she watched the scene unfold, irritation crept in. Everything felt so heavy, so gloomy. How long were they going to keep crying over a dead guy? At this rate, it felt like grief itself would end up killing them. That was why she had told them to shut up, why she had said such cruel things. But now that she really looked at him, Sahara's ghost didn't seem that sad at all. It wasn't like he was trying to drag others with him out of loneliness. Maybe the one he had been looking for all along was her. In the present day, May stood at the crossing, sipping from a juice box. She noticed Sahara standing in the middle of the road. At this point, she didn't care anymore if he planned to haunt her. He shouldn't underestimate the daughter of a spirit medium. She briefly wondered how much trouble the accident must have caused the truck driver. Then Kenta arrived with his club members, jogging up to the crossing as part of their morning training. That alone was enough to sour Mei's mood. Of all people, the last guy she wanted to see had shown up. Kenta was the soccer club's ace. While she was dealing with ghosts, he was out here running laps like nothing in the world mattered. What a carefree bastard. She muttered under her breath that if she ever got caught in an accident, she'd drag him down with her. Kenta glanced over, confused, clearly unsure what she was talking about. As they waited for the signal, Sahara suddenly charged toward her. Mei yelped, spat out her juice, and bolted, screaming at him to stop and leave her alone as he chased after her. Kenta and his teammates were left staring after her in shock, one of them asking what Kenta had possibly done to scare her like that. When Mei finally reached the school, she collapsed into her seat, gasping for breath, convinced she'd escaped. Her friend asked if she'd overslept, since she was late. Mei replied that she'd actually arrived 2 hours early. Her friend then mentioned that the teacher had noticed Mei skipped class yesterday. Mei told her to wait a second. It was hard to breathe. When Mei looked down, she froze. Sahara was crouched beneath her desk, staring straight up at her panties. She kicked the desk away with a shout, startling her friend. Mei yelled at Sahara to stop being a pervert. Of course, since Sahara was invisible to everyone else, her friend thought Mei was shouting at her. Mei stumbled backward and fell to the floor. At the same time, a box cutter slipped off a nearby desk and landed beside her, narrowly missing her. Her heart leapt into her throat. She thought Sahara was trying to kill her. Sahara frantically waved his hands, trying to explain that it was just a coincidence. Mei screamed for him to stop. Her friends grew increasingly worried as she continued acting strangely, while the rest of the class whispered among themselves, trying to figure out what was wrong with her. No matter where Mei went, Sahara was always there, chasing her. She knew this would happen after she interfered with their business. But if she had known Sahara would end up haunting someone he didn't even know, she would have left them alone. While running through the hallway, Mei collided with someone. They both fell hard to the floor. It was Taku. Startled and panicking, Mei punched him in the face. Before she could process what she'd done, a teacher called out to her. The teacher pointed out that Mei had left early the day before, and now she was skipping class again, only to end up bullying another student. Mei immediately apologized. The teacher sighed and said it was fine, then casually asked her about a theft that had happened earlier. At the mention of it, Taku's expression darkened, and he quickly scurried away. Apparently, a boy's school uniform had gone missing. The teacher warned the girls to be careful and suggested that they go home in pairs for the time being. Mei frowned and asked why everyone had to be so cautious over a single stolen uniform. The teacher hesitated before adding that the uniform had been found the day before, completely destroyed in the incinerator. The words sent a chill through Mei. A suspicion crept into her mind. She asked if the uniform had belonged to Sahara. The teacher avoided answering and instead told her that class was about to start. Mei was ordered to hurry back to her classroom. During class, Mei couldn't stop thinking about what the teacher had said. This didn't feel like a simple theft. It felt personal, like someone truly despised Sahara. When she glanced toward the door, she saw Sahara's silhouette peeking in from the hallway. What confused her most was how proper he was. He didn't do anything reckless while she was in class. A thought crept into Mei's mind. Maybe he couldn't let this go because she had once done exactly that, left it alone when she was a child. Guilt weighed on her. If she had helped that little girl back then, would Sahara still be alive? There was no way to know. Still, Mei decided that this time she wouldn't look away. She would listen to him. When class ended and students began heading home, Mei stopped in the middle of the hallway and waited. Sahara slowly approached her. She raised a hand and told him he didn't need to come any closer. Mei asked if he was the one who had stolen the uniform. He didn't speak, or maybe she just couldn't hear him. So she came up with a system. Tap his foot once for no, 2 taps for yes. She asked if he understood. Sahara tapped twice. She asked if he was the boy who had died in the recent accident. Sahara tapped twice. Was he following her because he wanted to kill her? Sahara tapped once. Relief washed over her. The bad feeling she'd been carrying wasn't about his death. It was about something else entirely. She asked if she wasn't his enemy. Sahara tapped twice. She asked if he need her help. Sahara tapped twice. May started to ask about the little girl who followed him, but changed her question. Instead, she asked if his death had really been an accident. Sahara tapped once. A chill ran down her spine. She swallowed hard and asked if he had been murdered. Sahara tapped twice. Fear flooded her chest. When she looked up, Sahara was grinning. That smile pushed her past her limit. She turned and ran. As she struggled to catch her breath, the pieces began to fall into place. If Sahara had been murdered, then the person responsible was still here, in this town. She thought about going to the police, but how could she explain this? A ghost telling her he was murdered. They would smile politely and send her away. Somewhere nearby, Taku heard her panicking as he rushed past. He grew nervous when he realized May was snooping around. He was guilty of something. Several months ago, Taku drew a manga about a flat-chested magical girl fighting a big-boobed villain. Of course, I'm not going to tell you all what happens because just looking at it is painful, but it's weird as fuck. The magical girl shoots lasers from her panties to defeat the villain. Sahara was also stunned by what he was reading. Taku asked how it was. If it was too boring. He tried to break it down, saying that the composition was half-hearted and the design was messed up. Taku continued yapping while Sahara was trying to form a word. Sahara looked directly at Taku and called him a genius, which caught Taku off guard. Sahara was amazed because it was the first time he had ever seen such a bad gag manga. Taku told him that it was a serious manga, though. Sahara stood up, wanting to show it to the other guys, but Taku stopped him, holding him down by the waist. Sahara assured him that when it comes to manga, you have to show it to people as soon as you finish. But Taku said that it wasn't at a level where he could show it to other people yet. Sahara told him that he couldn't run away from this since he drew such an amazing manga. Taku felt happy because he was complimented for the first time. Sahara then looked at the heroine girl and commented on how cute she was and how she kind of looked like Ren. Taku got flustered and told him that he used her as a reference. Ren then called out to him, asking why since she heard her name and cute at the same time. Sahara asked Taku if it was okay to show Ren the manga, since she would definitely be happy because she's the main character. Ren and the others got curious. Sahara added that Taku said he used Ren as the model. Taku got nervous as Ren looked at his manga. Her and the others' reactions were so bad that they still haunt him to this day. While the teacher was teaching at the front, Taku was drawing his manga. He got called out by the teacher and was asked if he was taking notes, since the information was important and he'd better remember it. Two girls looked at Taku, whispered among themselves, and laughed, which made him feel like shit. Taku told the teacher that he was taking notes, just summarizing them, and asked him to leave him alone. The teacher reluctantly said okay, while others started whispering about how disgusting his manners were. Ren looked at Taku worriedly. After school, while students were preparing to go home, some even getting ready to head to their respective clubs, Taku was walking mindlessly down the hallway, clutching his manuscripts. Suddenly, he heard a girl saying that things had felt unsettled lately, and that it was probably because of Sahara's accident. Taku didn't notice that he had collided with a girl, making her drop the things she was carrying. The girl told him to look in front of him while walking, but he continued on anyway, even stepping on the items she dropped. Taku kept walking away, so the girl called out to him, telling him to help clean up the mess. Taku didn't listen. The girl then grabbed his bag to stop him, which made Taku scream, "Don't touch me, 3D bitch." This caught the girl off guard, and the two of them immediately started arguing. The girl demanded to know who the real bitch was, but of course, Taku couldn't respond. Other students began to gather, whispering among themselves and asking what the fight was about. They recognized Taku as the guy who used to hang around Sahara and show him his manga, but all Taku could hear was Sahara's name. The girl got pissed and told Taku that it was enough. On top of drawing perverted manga at school, he was also hurting and pestering others. She said he'd been especially horrible lately and asked what he was trying to do. Taku tried to walk away like the little bitch he was. The girl told him to face her properly since he couldn't follow Sahara anymore. Someone grabbed Taku's arm, and he reflexively yanked it away. It turned out to be Ren, and he ended up hitting her, causing her to fall to the floor. Ren's friend immediately asked if she was okay and glared at Taku. Of course, Taku muttered that it wasn't his fault. Ren tried to save Taku by saying that Megumi should calm down, since Taku didn't do it on purpose, and that Sahara's accident was probably affecting him. Megumi just nodded and told Ren to cover her panties. The students watching started muttering references to the manga Taku drew 7 months ago, which made them laugh. They began teasing Ren about it. Taku tried to defend himself, but no one listened. Ren stood up and told them they shouldn't fight, but her panties were still showing because her skirt was messed up, which only made everyone laugh harder. Ren was so embarrassed she was about to cry. Meanwhile, Taku muttered that it was all Sahara's fault because he told him to show it. Taku felt sick to his stomach when Mei suddenly appeared, covering his mouth and asking if she could have him for a moment. Mei told Megumi that she had something she needed to ask Taku about, then started dragging him away, leaving everyone confused. Chiaki finally woke up. It seemed he'd been asleep the entire time. Mei dragged Taku to the back of the school, near the incinerator. Taku was muttering things even I couldn't understand, so Mei tried to break the ice and asked if he wasn't going to thank her or something, since she had just saved his ass. Taku didn't respond, so Mei sighed. She told him he could at least answer with an "uh-huh" or an "okay," and added that not everyone wanted to be on his level. That made Taku snap. He screamed at Mei, calling her noisy and a bitch. Mei, with the patience of a saint, told him she'd do it. She'd speak on his level as long as he agreed to actually have a conversation with her. Taku asked what she meant, so Mei crouched down in front of him to match his eye level and told him to just listen and not think she was weird. Of course, Taku, the complete degenerate, got distracted by her boobs and agreed. Mei then asked about Sahara's accident. Taku's face darkened, and he muttered that it was Sahara again. Mei told him to listen properly. She said she didn't know anyone close to Sahara, which was why she was asking Taku. She asked if Sahara had any grudges, if he'd been in fights, or if anything bad had happened to him at all. Taku's complexion went pale, and he started stuttering. Mei continued, saying that it wasn't that she doubted their friendship. She then pointed at the incinerator and told him that part of Sahara's uniform had been found there. This completely freaked Taku out. Mei went on, asking whether someone stole Sahara's uniform for some weird fetish, or if it was someone who hated him. It seemed like Mei had hit the nail on the head. From the way Taku was clutching his bag, she caught a glimpse of something inside it. Sahara's uniform was peeking out. Taku started muttering that he didn't kill Sahara over and over again. Mei found this pointless and stopped, saying it was weird of her to even bring this up. She added that she didn't think Taku looked like someone who would start a fight. As she turned to walk away, Taku suddenly lunged at her and pushed her to the ground. He wrapped his hands around her neck. Crying, Taku confessed to Mei that he killed Sahara. Mei struggled to breathe, begging Taku to stop, but he didn't. She fought back desperately and managed to overpower him, tearing his hands away from her neck. Realizing just how weak he actually was, Mei punched him square in the face, knocking him to the ground. Gasping for air, Mei caught her breath and told Taku to wait, but he lunged at her again. Mei kicked him away, but not before Taku managed to rip off her necktie. Lying on the ground, Taku clenched the tie in his hands and shouted that she was horrible. Even though she wasn't related to any of this, she was meddling for fun, not realizing that there were people who were genuinely hurt, that she was killing people's hearts without understanding it. Taku pulled out a cutter, which instantly terrified Mei. He went in for the stab, and Mei unconsciously shut her eyes. Taku kept stabbing wildly, screaming that the one who's joking is always the other person. He blamed Sahara for showing the manga to Ren, blamed everyone who whispered and talked badly about her. He said he wanted to kill everyone. All this time he was stabbing Mei's necktie, crying uncontrollably. Mei was confused by what he was saying, and Taku suddenly froze, confused himself. He asked why she wasn't dead yet. Mei smacked him on the head, calling him an idiot, knocking him to the ground again. Taku muttered that it was impossible. He was sure this worked on Sahara, that it definitely killed him. Mei told him it seemed like he was misunderstanding something. Taku pulled out a book titled The Dark Daimon's Magic World. According to it, the book taught how to curse detestable people and other things like that. Mei looked at it and told him it doesn't work. The book Taku was holding was written by Mei's scam artist of a father. She told Taku to calm down, but he kept yelling, calling her a bitch over and over. He wasn't calming down at all, so Mei decided to kiss him. Basically, what was happening was that Taku thought he killed Sahara through a curse by damaging his uniform. After a few seconds, Taku dropped to the floor in complete confusion, not understanding what had just happened. Mei wiped her lips with her arm and told Taku that since he kissed a bitch, he was a bitch too. The kiss was completely unnecessary, but Taku had always been a bitch and a coward anyway. Taku cried, saying his first kiss was supposed to be for Ren. Mei told him to calm down, handed him his glasses, and told him to be reasonable. She asked him to give her the cutter since it was dangerous. Realizing what he had just done, Taku apologized to Mei. She looked at him and told him flatly that he didn't kill Sahara. He wasn't the kind of person who could do something like that. He was too much of a weakling. Taku sniffled and insisted that he really did. He admitted that he had thoughts like, "I'll kill you," and "it'd be better if he died." Mei told him that he and Sahara were a perfect combination of someone bad at communicating and someone good at it. So it wasn't hard to imagine those kinds of thoughts crossing his mind. Wiping her mouth again, Mei asked if Sahara was really that bad of a guy for him to wish for his death. Taku replied that Sahara was a good guy. He got carried away easily, teased others a lot, and was popular. Mei asked if he was a good guy and popular, then why he wished he would die. Was he just jealous? Taku admitted that it might have been part of it. Mei then asked if someone's heart had been broken by Sahara. Taku suddenly remembered something. He told Mei that the one who was heartbroken wasn't him. When Mei asked who it was, Taku dodged the question and said he needed to go home. Before leaving, he said he would pay for the necktie, but Mei told him it was fine. Taku then added that he would take responsibility for the kiss, which pissed Mei off. She told him to go home before she actually killed him. Once Mei was alone, she wiped her mouth one last time before collapsing to the ground. She was shaking, terrified by what had just happened. Even though Taku wasn't the murderer, she was still scared. Mei called out for Sahara, telling him to stop putting on airs and to tell her immediately who the real culprit was. But Sahara didn't appear. Mei was furious. Sahara had only given her half the information, forcing her to snoop around on her own. It was dangerous, and it would stay dangerous until she became a ghost herself. She wondered if it would be okay to leave this alone, but the thought of letting a murderer walk free terrified her even more. Mei didn't know what to do. She couldn't talk to anyone about this. All she could do was curse her own eyes for being able to see ghosts. Meanwhile, Sahara woke up in the middle of the crossing, the first thing he saw being Mishi's face. He hadn't noticed that he had fallen asleep and was amazed that ghosts could sleep too. He asked Michi what would happen if he didn't sleep, but of course she didn't respond. Sahara cracked his back and muttered that the one who stole his uniform was Taku. He wondered why, because if Taku wanted it, he would have just given it to him. Sahara laughed and said maybe Taku liked him so much, but never said it. He understood, since back in elementary school, he used to mumble into the recorder of the girl he liked. Then Sahara realized it might not have been out of affection, since his uniform was tattered. He began to wonder why he was killed by his own childhood friend, and if even his best friend had the urge to kill him. Sahara asked himself if he had done something truly horrible. At school, Chiaki picked up the manuscript Taku had dropped on the ground and peeked at it, then tried to show it to Ren. Ren immediately told her not to show her that kind of book. Chiaki said that Taku might have dropped it and that he might be troubled, but Ren, visibly shaking, told her she didn't need it and asked Chiaki to throw it away. Chiaki looked at Ren worriedly. Back at the crossing, Sahara's classmates brought flowers again, which made him smile. Then they spotted Kenta and asked if he was going to visit Sahara, since Kenta had gotten along well with him. They mentioned how angry Kenta had been when the accident happened. Kenta only glanced at the flowers before stomping on them, shocking both Sahara and the others. The girls asked him what was wrong, but Kenta kept walking away. Sahara muttered that it was scary, somehow even scarier than when he died. Back when they were children, Sahara was always hanging around Taku, so Ren was always beating him up. Ren told Sahara that they were almost done with elementary school, so he needed to stop acting like a kid and bullying others. Sahara defended himself, saying it wasn't bullying and that they were just playing a little pro wrestling, but Ren told him that was exactly how he was bullying Taku. The other girls felt sorry for Sahara while feeling creeped out by Taku's existence, so Ren told them to shut up too, which earned her cold glares. Ren then started dragging Taku home, while Sahara ran after them, telling them to wait and let him play with Taku more because he wanted to try a cobra twist on him. The other girls started whispering that Ren was always with Taku. When the two finally got away, Taku thanked Ren, and Ren responded by headbutting him. Instead of feeling hurt, Taku felt happy about getting hit by Ren. Ren told him to stand up for himself more and asked if he didn't feel sad being bullied by so many people. Taku replied that they didn't really have a reason to bully him and that he thought Sahara was taking care of him and was a really kind person. Ren couldn't help but feel frustrated and told him that if it were her, she would definitely fight back and send all the bullies flying. Taku complimented Ren on how strong she was. Ren had always been stronger than Taku, and she thought that if she let herself get bullied instead of him, she could protect him properly. But all of that changed when they went to school early one day and saw the blackboard. Their names were written on it, shipping Ren with Taku, and on top of that, they had written "Gorilla Bitch." The other girls laughed as they watched Ren's reaction, bullying her relentlessly until she went quiet. She couldn't fight back. Later, 3 boys at the playground teased Ren and asked about her going out with Taku. Ren got angry and punched one of them. The boy got mad and told his 2 friends to grab her. They easily pushed Ren down and were about to beat her up. Meanwhile, Taku was hiding in the bushes, not knowing what to do. Ren tried to fight back, but she couldn't resist them. It was the first time she realized that boys were stronger, and she couldn't do anything. They just laughed and teased her, while Taku panicked. Ren started tearing up from the hopeless situation until Sahara arrived and asked them what they were doing. He called them out and pointed out that Ren was crying. The 3 boys made excuses, saying it was just a normal brawl, before quickly scurrying away. Sahara tried to ask if Ren was okay, but she coldly told him to get lost, saying that if people found them together, they would start saying they were dating and doing stuff. Sahara didn't leave. Instead, he tried to cheer her up, and when that didn't work, he sat beside her, asked why she was crying, and tried to comfort her. Ren finally woke up, having dreamed about the past. They had school today, so she immediately got up to prepare. While brushing her teeth, her mother told her that she slept too much and mentioned that Chiaki had come by the house. When Ren was about to head out, Chiaki was already outside waiting and greeted her. Chiaki pointed out that Ren had bed hair and that her ribbon was a little off. After Chiaki finished fixing it, she told Ren that she looked cute now. Ren just muttered that there were too many things to think about and that it was annoying to be a girl. Chiaki tried to ask what she meant, but Ren cut her off, thanked her, and said they should go. While walking to school, Kenta and the soccer club passed by them. Ren glanced at Kenta, and Chiaki mentioned that he only went to morning practice even though the tournament was close. She wondered why. Ren was surprised that Chiaki knew so much about the soccer club, but Chiaki explained that they were popular, so she happened to hear things. She also mentioned that back in their first year of elementary school, Sahara and Kenta played soccer together for a while, which was why she had taken a bit of interest in them. Ren was surprised to hear that Sahara played soccer, but Chiaki said he didn't do much and quit within the same year. Ren thought about how the Sahara she knew was kind of an idiot who got carried away easily, but when she was in a bad state, he always took care of her. Other than that, she realized she didn't really know much about him. Suddenly, Megumi came up and hugged Ren, saying she was happy Ren came to school today. She apologized about yesterday, saying that Taku had pissed her off, which was why she lashed out at him. She only realized afterward that people had started laughing and teasing Ren. Ren told her there was no need to worry, but Megumi still looked really concerned. Taku then arrived and Chiaki greeted him. He greeted her back while clutching his bag, and Megumi's expression soured again. She asked what he wanted now, getting irritated and saying she was sick of seeing his face these past few days. She even said she felt like stealing his glasses just so he wouldn't be able to see. Taku apologized for calling her a bitch, which caught Megumi off guard. She became embarrassed and apologized as well. Taku then looked at Ren, but Ren avoided his gaze. After they arrived at school, the girls were surprised to see that Taku had drawn another manga. This one was different from 7 months ago, when it had been a degenerate panty fest manga. This time, it was a wholesome animal manga. Taku had drawn it to show Ren, but she still declined, saying she wasn't good with lewd stuff. Chiaki told her it wasn't lewd and showed her the cover, but to Ren, it still looked lewd. Chiaki argued that cats with breasts weren't very lewd, but Ren, blushing, slammed her hand on the desk and said that cats weren't lewd, but questioned why it had to look so humanoid. Chiaki explained that it was just Taku's habit and that he always drew like that. Ren replied that Taku should have given it to someone who actually liked that kind of thing, and since she wasn't into it, he didn't need to give it to her. Chiaki said that even so, it was something Taku wanted Ren to read. Ren hesitated, and Chiaki added that Ren didn't have to force herself. She suggested putting it in her desk for now and returning it to Taku the next day. After school, when Chiaki was on her way home, she noticed Taku sitting by the river, so she decided to call out to him. Taku was shocked to see Chiaki there, and she asked if she could sit beside him. She sat down next to Taku. Taku then asked where Ren was, and Chiaki replied that Ren was on cleaning duty today, which was why they weren't together. After a bit of silence, Taku asked if Ren had read his manga. Chiaki told him that Ren didn't read it, which made Taku a little sad. But she added that she read it herself and actually liked the one he did before more. Taku thanked her and said that starting today, he would stop drawing manga. He opened up, saying that a lot had happened yesterday, and after calming down, he began to understand many things. Without knowing Ren's trauma, and with the manga being shown to her, Taku admitted that he really hurt her. He said he was only trying to show it to Sahara, but in the end, he was the one who wrote it, which was why he tried to blame everything on Sahara. Taku admitted that he was scared. The thought that he might hurt Ren terrified him. Even though he was at fault, he pretended to be the victim, and because of that, he decided to stop writing manga. Chiaki stopped him and handed Taku the restored manga he had written. She told him that his first manga saved her too. Chiaki explained that in her first year of elementary school, she liked magical girl anime and wanted to be a magical girl. Even though she was the villain in Taku's manga, it granted that wish. Taku was surprised to hear that Chiaki liked anime and enjoyed that kind of stuff. When he noticed Chiaki's expression, he stopped talking. Chiaki stood up and said that it was only during her first year of elementary school, then said goodbye because she had to go home. While Chiaki was walking up the stairs, Taku tried to stop her and thanked her for complimenting his manga. He told her that she was the one who saved him. What surprised Taku was that, for a brief moment, he saw Sahara and Mishi's silhouettes behind Chiaki, which confused him. Back in the classroom, after cleaning duty, Ren decided to give Taku's manga a try. It was weird as usual, so she couldn't really understand it until someone called out to her. It was May. May immediately assured Ren that she didn't come to badmouth her today, and that it wouldn't take long. She just wanted to ask some questions. Ren reluctantly agreed. She only wanted to ask about Taku. May explained to Ren that she just got curious because of the fight yesterday, and he was gross, but lately he was even more gross. She just wanted to ask if Taku's been fighting with anyone else like Ren or Sahara. Back at the riverside, Taku was lying on the ground. He had fallen down the stairs, and his head was bleeding. May tells Ren that whatever she knows is fine, but Ren insists that nothing really happened. Even if something did happen, it has nothing to do with May. Wanting to know more about Sahara, May keeps asking questions. but Ren refuses to tell her anything and simply prepares to head home. Of course, Mei stops her and continues pressing her for answers, asking whether Sahara was a good or bad person, if anyone hated him, and who actually liked him. Her persistence reminds Ren of her painful past, causing her to snap and shout at Mei to leave her alone. Ren tells her that she's just like her old bullies, meddling in other people's lives for fun without realizing how much they hurt others. She once again tells Mei that she has nothing to say. Just then, Mei hears a nearby siren. It's an ambulance, so she immediately runs off, leaving Ren behind to investigate. Ren is left confused, which causes her to recall what happened to Sahara. Outside the school, Mei overhears other students talking about another accident. She follows the commotion and finds a crowd gathered around the scene. There, she spots Sahara's ghost watching silently. She walks over to him and scolds him for disappearing, confusing the other students since it looks like she's yelling at thin air. Mei pushes through the crowd to see who the victim is. To her shock, she sees the paramedics carrying Taku away on a stretcher. They explain that he lost consciousness after falling down the stairs and hitting his head. What terrifies Mei even more is seeing Taku's ghost standing beside his own body. His ghost desperately tries to speak to and touch Chiaki, who is being questioned by the paramedics. Following her suspicions, Mei rushes toward Chiaki and accuses her of being the culprit, catching everyone off guard. The paramedics are equally confused and try to stop her from causing a scene, but Mei simply calls one of them bald and tells him to shut up. She demands that Chiaki answer whether she pushed Taku down the stairs, continuing to blame her for both Taku's and Sahara's accidents. Chiaki simply smiles, leaving Mei completely baffled. The onlookers step in and tell Mei to stop accusing Chiaki. They explain that Chiaki was the one who reported the accident and that several students witnessed Taku falling down the stairs on his own. Of course, Mei refuses to believe them. She starts calling out to Sahara, begging him to confirm the truth. She asks him to tap his foot like before, but Sahara remains completely silent. To everyone else, Mei looks like she's lost her mind, talking to someone who isn't there. That's when Ren steps forward and slaps Mei, knocking her to the ground. Ren calls her out, telling her she's the worst and that she should go play detective somewhere else. First, she claimed that Sahara's accident was caused by a ghost, and now she's blaming Chiaki. Ren tells her that enough is enough. The other students agree, pointing out how awful Mei has been acting lately. They remind her that she insulted Sahara's offerings by calling them gross and even mocked the paramedic by calling him bald. Unable to respond, Mei simply gives up. With the ambulance gone and both Taku's and Sahara's ghosts no longer in sight, she admits that she was wrong and quietly walks away through the crowd. Mei's friend Aoi stops her and asks what has been going on since she's been acting strangely lately. She also offers to walk home with her after noticing her swollen cheek. Mei tries to push her away, saying that everyone might start thinking Aoi is just like her. Even so, Aoi stays by her side and accompanies her home while treating her swollen cheek. As they leave, the police arrive to question Chiaki, while Ren watches Mei walk away with a worried expression. Back in the classroom, Ren waits for Chiaki to finish speaking with the police. Thinking back to what happened with Mei, she remembers the bullying she endured in the past, making her feel guilty because, for a moment, she feels like she became just like the people who hurt her. Growing bored while waiting, she notices Taku's terrible manga lying nearby. Remembering that Chiaki mentioned Taku wanted Ren to read it, she reluctantly decides to give it a chance. The manga is absolutely horrible. It's filled with crude jokes, excessive lewdness, and all sorts of tasteless humor. Ren can't even tell whether it's supposed to be a gag manga or a battle manga. Either way, it's painfully boring. Then she notices that the heroine looks just like her. In the story, the heroine thanks the Catman for saving her. She tells him that she has lost her powers and everything she once had, hence making her feel like she had no value. Then asks why he chose to save her. The Catman replies that his own life had no value, and that she was the one who made him feel human. Because he was constantly bullied, he believes he would have become a terrible person if she hadn't saved him. She should be proud of herself because she changed his life. He says that by helping him, she ended up becoming hated by many people, and he has always regretted that. His own weakness caused her pain and filled her life with despair. But because she chose to protect weak people like him, she became someone truly strong. To him, she was like the hero of a manga, someone unbelievably cool and overflowing with confidence. The manga was about Taku and Ren. As Ren finishes reading, she breaks down in tears, regretting that she never took the time to properly read Taku's awful manga before. Just then, Chiaki finally returns to the classroom. From the doorway, she watches Ren crying as she repeatedly whispers apologies to Taku. Seeing this, Chiaki smiles eerily. Aoi continues pressing an ice pack against Mei's swollen cheek, but the pain makes Mei keep pulling away. Aoi tells her that none of this would have happened if she hadn't caused such a scene earlier. She reassures her that Taku will probably be okay. Mei then quietly says that if they kill her, she'll end up going crazy too, leaving Aoi deeply worried. Even so, Mei hardens her resolve. She swears that she will bring Chiaki down. Years earlier, when Chiaki was still in elementary school, she often watched Sahara practicing his football skills so he could finally beat Kenta. Chiaki reminded him that he had already been warned not to play ball games in that area, but Sahara insisted it was fine since he was only secretly practicing, not actually playing a game. Back in elementary school, a lot more kids played football, so he trained every day in hopes of becoming a regular on the team. As they passed by a preschool, they noticed a little girl being ganged up on by her classmates, who kept calling her a ghost because she was so introverted. Sahara immediately stepped in. He kicked his football against the fence, startling the children, then pretended to scare them away. His plan worked, and the preschoolers ran off, leaving the little girl alone. Chiaki wasn't comfortable with bullying little kids, but Sahara simply said it was fine because it was exactly what his hero would have done. The little girl watched Sahara walk away with admiration in her eyes. Later, the three of them hung out by the riverside after the little girl snuck out of preschool to join them. Chiaki poured some tea from her thermos and offered it to the little girl. The girl hesitated, asking if it was really okay to take it, since Chiaki would have nothing left for herself. Chiaki smiled and told her it was fine, because her grandmother always said that a princess should be kind. The little girl then noticed Chiaki's bag and commented that it was cute, just like her thermos. Hearing the compliment made Chiaki smile. Chiaki asked if it was really okay for her to sneak away from preschool. The girl replied that it was fine, because the other kids were stupid and she didn't like them anyway. Besides, she thought Sahara was really cool after what he had done earlier. Sahara then asked Chiaki if she should really be there since she had cram school afterward. Chiaki casually replied that she didn't have cram school today because the hospital had called to inform her that her grandmother had passed away. The two were shocked by how calmly she said it, as though it hadn't affected her at all. Sahara quickly told her that she should hurry home. Since her grandmother had died, she had to be feeling sad. Confused, Chiaki asked why she would be sad. Her grandmother had always told her that even if she died, she would still stay by Chiaki's side. She also said she didn't want Chiaki to cry and wanted her to keep smiling instead. Even so, Sahara found her reaction strange and called her an airhead. The little girl suddenly chimed in, saying that Chiaki's grandmother had become a magical girl. She explained that it was an anime about a craftswoman who made cute clothes, grew old, then was reincarnated into another world where she became young again and fought battles as a magical girl. Since Chiaki's grandmother also made cute things like her bag, the little girl believed she had become a magical girl too. That meant Chiaki didn't have to be sad. Hearing that made Chiaki genuinely smile. As they continued sitting by the riverside, Chiaki became interested in watching the anime the little girl had been talking about. Just then, someone called out Sahara's name. It was Kenta, the ace of the football team. He explained that he had been looking everywhere for his little sister after she slipped away from preschool and asked if they had seen her. Back in the present, Chiaki was replacing the water for Sahara's flowers when the vase suddenly shattered. One of her classmates tried to help clean it up but accidentally cut her hand. Chiaki immediately pulled out a bandage and treated her wound. Another classmate, who was holding a broom, mentioned that Chiaki had also cut her leg and asked if she had another bandage. The others were shocked to realize that Chiaki had used her last bandage on her friend instead of herself. Feeling guilty, the injured girl tried to return the bandage while another classmate hurried off to the infirmary to get more supplies. Even then, Chiaki refused to sit still. She focused entirely on saving Sahara's flowers, eventually getting scolded for ignoring her own injuries. A little later, she managed to transfer the flowers into a glass jar and carefully place them back on Sahara's desk. It had already been a month since Sahara's accident. Their homeroom teacher entered the classroom and reminded everyone to focus on studying since the final exams were approaching. Chiaki asked whether Taku would be back before the exams, but the teacher admitted that he didn't know when Taku would return. The girls immediately became worried. It reminded them too much of what had happened to Sahara, who had also been taken to the hospital and never came back. The teacher assured them they were overthinking things. He added that recent events had made the area dangerous, so everyone should head straight home after school. After leaving the classroom, he couldn't hide how discouraged he felt about everything happening to his class. One of Chiaki's friends invited her to walk home together, but Chiaki politely declined, saying she would go home by herself. As she walked home, she overheard students gossiping about Taku. Some even speculated that his fall had been a suicide attempt because they considered him a loser. When Chiaki passed the staircase where Taku's accident had happened, she found Mei kicking the flower offerings, treating them as if Taku were already dead. The two greeted each other before Mei suddenly dragged Chiaki beneath the bridge. Mei asked why she hadn't seen Ren lately. Chiaki answered that Ren was taking a break. Mei accepted the explanation, saying that everyone had been through a lot recently. Chiaki then called Mei kind, saying that even after Ren had hit her, she was still worried about her. Mei immediately questioned why Chiaki herself didn't seem concerned about anyone. She bluntly asked whether Chiaki had killed Sahara and Taku. Chiaki simply gave a vague response. Mei pressed further and asked if she had pushed Sahara. Chiaki calmly replied that if that was what Mei wanted to believe, then yes, she pushed him. She even added that if Mei told her to die, she would do it. Her answer only left Mei even more confused. Just then, Kenta stepped in and shoved Mei away from Chiaki, telling her to get lost. As another crowd began gathering because of the commotion, Mei quickly ran away. Kenta asked Chiaki if she was okay. Instead of answering, Chiaki asked why he had helped her even though she was the one who killed Michi. Kenta could only mutter in frustration, wondering why she was still blaming herself. He told Chiaki that Michi had been his responsibility, not hers, and urged her to stop dwelling on it before walking away. But Chiaki simply couldn't let it go. Meanwhile, Aoi caught up to Mei and asked why she kept avoiding her and causing so many scenes. She admitted she had no idea what was going on anymore, if only that Mei kept ending up bruised and beaten. Aoi pointed out that although Mei always had a sharp tongue, she had never been the type to attack people. Something had to be seriously wrong. She begged Mei to tell her what was happening so she could help. Mei tried to open up, but Aoi mentioned that ever since Mei started talking about ghosts, there had to be a deeper reason behind it all. Hearing that, Mei stopped herself from saying anything. Instead, she simply called Aoi annoying and irritating before telling her to leave her alone. Aoi stood there in shock, asking why Mei would suddenly say something like that as Mei walked away. As Mei passed by a group of elementary school students, she repeatedly slammed her head against a nearby pole out of frustration. She had reached a complete dead end. Even though Chiaki seemed suspicious, Mei had no actual proof that she was the culprit. The only clues she had came from ghosts that appeared and disappeared at random, and she still couldn't make sense of what Chiaki had told her earlier. She continued headbutting the pole, worrying the nearby children. She desperately needed someone she could talk to, someone who would actually believe her. But everyone involved hated her. Her last hope was Taku. There were still so many things she needed to ask him. She first went to Sahara's house, but no one answered the door, and even calling didn't work. As Mei stood there wondering what to do next, someone suddenly stepped out onto the balcony of Taku's house. It was Taku. Stretching lazily, he declared out loud that being a shut-in was the best. Mei froze in shock. Taku was alive. As Taku enjoyed his shut-in life, he decided to continue playing Fire Emblem. However, when he looked outside, he saw Mei staring directly at him. Panicking, he rushed back inside, ran downstairs, and immediately locked the front door. Moments later, Mei began knocking furiously, demanding that he come out. Trying to save himself, Taku made up a ridiculous excuse, claiming that he was actually Taku's twin brother. Of course, Mei wasn't buying that nonsense for a second. Once things finally quieted down, Taku sighed in relief, thinking he was safe. Then Mei suddenly appeared behind him. She had climbed in through his balcony. Without hesitation, she shoved him onto the floor and told him they were going to continue the conversation they had started earlier. Mei pushed Taku back onto his bed before opening the windows to air out his stuffy room. Since there wasn't even enough space to sit, she began cleaning up the mess scattered around his room. Taku apologized, including for choking her the other day. Of course, Mei wasn't about to forgive him that easily. She wasn't going to let him get away with it. Taku kept apologizing over and over until Mei finally let the matter drop, simply telling him she was glad he was still alive. Taku then asked why she cared so much about Sahara. It wasn't as if she and Sahara had gotten along while he was alive. To Taku, it looked like Mei was just getting involved for fun, just like the bullies he had dealt with before. Mei then asked whether Taku believed in ghosts. He innocently asked if she meant the title of a manga. Embarrassed, Mei kicked one of his anime figures. Taku admitted that he wasn't sure whether ghosts were real, but he had seen Sahara's ghost. At first, he thought it was just a hallucination, but Sahara had looked incredibly angry. Taku assumed it was because he had torn Sahara's uniform to shreds. The thought terrified him. He tried to run away, but his foot slipped, causing him to fall down the stairs. Hearing this made Mei want to strangle Taku, considering she had wrongly accused Chiaki because of him. Taku continued explaining that after falling, he saw himself lying there covered in blood. He thought he had died. Then he heard something. At first, he assumed it was just the wind, but it was actually Sahara muttering something. He sounded furious. That's why Taku tried to stop Chiaki as she climbed the stairs. However, the moment he tried to grab her, a sharp pain shot through his head, and he lost consciousness. When he opened his eyes again, he was already in the hospital, where he had been resting until he was healthy enough to return to school. Mei began wondering whether Sahara had really been such an angry person. Meanwhile, Taku found it strange that Mei actually believed his dreamlike story. Mei figured Sahara had probably become angry because he thought Taku was about to die. She kicked another one of Taku's figures. Taku told her she should just go home since he didn't know much about Sahara despite being his friend. Without warning, Mei threw Taku's box cutter at him. He instinctively caught it. Immediately afterward, Mei shoved him onto the bed, forcing the hand holding the cutter toward her own neck. She stared directly at him and told him she wasn't doing any of this for fun. Taku could only ask why she was going this far. In response, Mei calmly adjusted the blade until it was close enough to cut her cheek. That was enough. Taku immediately gave in and promised to tell her everything. Mei then added that since he wanted to take responsibility for kissing her, he would become her servant from now on, a machine whose only job was to answer every question she asked. Crying, Taku agreed, saying she could do whatever she wanted with his body, but his heart would always belong to Ren. Mei simply called him gross. Completely defeated, Taku quietly sniffled beneath her. Mei concluded that Taku probably didn't like Sahara and asked whether Sahara had actually been a bad person. Taku replied that, at the very least, Sahara was a good person. After all, he had saved Ren from being bullied, making him far better than Taku ever was. That didn't mean the two of them had been especially close. Back in elementary school, Taku had been bullied constantly. He kept to himself and barely spoke to anyone. He believed someone who had failed to save Ren from being bullied had no right to even talk to her. In fact, he thought he was such a pathetic coward that he convinced himself it was enough just to see Sahara making Ren smile. Still, Taku had been happy when he ended up attending the same high school as Ren. Of course, Ren had only chosen that school because of Sahara. Not long after starting high school, Sahara caught Taku drawing his manga. No matter how much Taku tried avoiding him afterward, Sahara kept talking to him. He constantly asked to read Taku's manga. Eventually, some of the girls asked Sahara why he kept hanging around someone like Taku. Sahara laughed and defended him, saying he wasn't looking after Taku. Oddly enough, whenever Taku was around Sahara, it reminded him of his elementary school days. During one physical education class, everyone was surprised by how incredibly good Sahara was at football. One day during lunch, Taku finally asked Sahara to stop being friends with him. Sahara was surprised by how politely Taku asked. Taku explained that Sahara should be spending time with people who deserved it more. His grades were excellent, and he was talented at sports. He also told Sahara that joining the football club would be a waste if he didn't. Sahara only laughed before pointing toward Kenta, who was practicing on the field below. He explained that Kenta had been an amazing and famous player ever since elementary and middle school. Since Kenta was already the team's ace, Sahara felt it would be uncool to join when someone as talented as him was already there. Even so, Taku pointed out that Sahara clearly wanted to play football. He had hit the nail on the head. Still, Sahara insisted he was perfectly happy keeping football as a hobby. Being a member of the Go Home Club was much more fun. Trying to cheer Sahara up, Taku promised to bring one of his manga from home. However, he never expected Sahara to proudly show it to the rest of their classmates. It embarrassed Ren so badly that she nearly cried. Meanwhile, Sahara never realized he had done anything wrong. He simply wanted to show everyone how talented Taku was at drawing. Unable to read the room, Sahara kept showing off the manga until Taku finally snapped. He slapped the pages out of Sahara's hands and shouted at him to cut it out. Then Taku gathered every page before running behind the school and tearing his manga apart because it had made Ren cry. Sahara followed him and asked why he had destroyed something so precious. He said it was a waste because Taku was genuinely talented. Taku finally exploded. He yelled that it didn't matter what Sahara thought of him because, thanks to him, Ren had been hurt. Still confused, Sahara couldn't understand what he meant. Taku explained that Ren had been bullied back in elementary school. Even then, Sahara had no idea. Taku finally broke down, shouting that it had all started because of the girls surrounding Sahara. Ren had become a target after she hit Sahara. Even now, Sahara looked completely confused. Taku cried as he blamed himself for hurting Ren all over again. Watching him, Sahara quietly asked whether he had done something wrong, whether his actions had really been that bad. Those words forced Taku to admit that it had actually been his own fault because he was the one who drew the manga. After hearing that, Sahara simply walked away, leaving Taku speechless. After that day, Sahara acted as though nothing had happened. Although some students continued teasing Ren about the manga, Sahara never brought it up again, and eventually the rumors died down. If not for what had happened behind the school, Taku might have continued believing Sahara was simply an awkward but genuinely good person. Now, however, he saw him differently. He believed Sahara was clever enough to always place himself in the role of the good guy. And because everyone saw him as a good person, the feelings of the people he unintentionally hurt were ignored. Taku felt completely helpless because of that. He knew Sahara probably wasn't angry anymore. Even so, he couldn't stop being afraid. Despite knowing Sahara was dead, Taku was still terrified of him. Just then, Mei sensed another presence inside the room. It was Sahara's ghost. He had heard everything. For the first time, Mei finally got a good look at Sahara's face. Sahara suddenly woke up with a throbbing pain in his right eye. It felt like he couldn't move. When he looked down, he saw his legs being crushed beneath the truck. Then he finally woke up for real. He was back at the crossing, realizing he had dreamed about the accident that killed him. Mishi's ghost stood there, silently staring at him. Sahara tried to reassure Mishi, but she didn't say a word. Later, the two wandered around the school together, watching the football club practice, more specifically Kenta. Remembering what Taku had told him, Sahara found himself reflecting on everything that had happened. He genuinely thought Taku's manga was good, and never intended to hurt anyone. He never imagined Ren would hate it that much. The more he thought about it, the more he wondered if he really did mess a lot of things up. Still, could it really have been bad enough for someone to kill him? He asked Mishi what she thought, but she remained silent, simply staring blankly into space. During practice, Kenta suddenly tripped and fell, scraping his leg. The teacher told one of his teammates to accompany him to the infirmary, but Kenta refused, saying he could go by himself. Worried, Sahara followed Kenta, while Mishi quietly wandered back to her usual spot at the crossing. At the infirmary, Kenta ran into Chiaki, who was replacing the bandage on her own leg. Seeing that Kenta was hurt, Chiaki sat him down and carefully bandaged his leg. Watching the two together, Sahara couldn't help blushing. It felt like he was watching a cute high school rom-com unfold before his eyes. After finishing, Chiaki mentioned that they hadn't really talked in the past 10 years. She also thanked Kenta for helping her earlier when Mei confronted her. Kenta brushed it off, saying it was nothing. He admitted that he had intentionally avoided talking to anyone connected to what happened 10 years ago. Chiaki found that strange, since Kenta had chosen to attend this high school. Kenta explained that he never actually wanted to enroll there. However, if he accepted the scholarship, his tuition would be fully covered. Since his family wasn't well off financially, he didn't have much of a choice. He also admitted that he wasn't particularly interested in football and never wanted to join the club. Chiaki quietly smiled and told him that he had changed. She added that although she herself hadn't changed much, all of her friends had. Ren, Taku, and Sahara, they had all changed. Kenta looked surprised. Sahara changed, he asked. Chiaki nodded. Just like 10 years ago, Sahara had always been carefree. But over time, he changed. Now he had become a little cowardly, even though he was still a genuinely kind person. Curious, Kenta was about to ask more about Sahara. Suddenly, the infirmary door burst open. It was Kenta's mother. She had been at the school on business and had just heard that Kenta had injured his leg. Chiaki politely greeted her. Instead, Kenta's mother glared at her. "What is a murderer doing here?" The entire infirmary fell silent. She immediately accused Chiaki of causing Kenta's injury before continuing that everything that happened to Michi was Chiaki's fault. Kenta quickly stopped his mother before she could say anything else and told her to go home. As he opened the infirmary door, he found Mei standing outside. She had heard everything. Without another word, Kenta grabbed Mei, dragged her away, and pinned her against the wall. He demanded to know how much she had overheard. Judging by her expression, she had been listening ever since Chiaki started bandaging his leg. Kenta begged Mei to stop investigating them. Otherwise, he would kill her. Watching the whole exchange, Sahara couldn't help feeling bad. Then he noticed Chiaki standing nearby with the same blank smile on her face. Later that afternoon, Mei looked down at the bruise on her forearm. Kenta had grabbed her so tightly that it left a mark. Outside the school, her so-called fraud spirit guy, father, was waiting for her. Apparently, there had been a special PTA meeting because of the recent accidents. The school had asked every family to keep a closer eye on their children. Still, most of the meeting had ended up being about Mei. Her father told her to stop spreading silly rumors about ghosts because they were making the other students uneasy. Mei simply replied, "Okay." Her father continued joking around, which only irritated her even more. A moment later, he looked up at the sky. "It's windy today," he said. He then explained that whenever someone dies, the wind begins to blow, carrying away everything that remains of the deceased. Following behind them, Sahara quietly objected. "That's not true. I'm still here. There are still parts of me left." There were many things he could no longer remember. There were even things he no longer understood. But one thing he was certain of. Chiaki was the one who killed him. He didn't want revenge. He didn't want anyone else to die. He didn't want his friend to commit any more crimes. He just wanted to stop Chiaki. Unfortunately, Mei didn't seem to hear a single word. Sahara lowered his head in disappointment. Then Mei suddenly turned around and looked straight at him. "I believe you." Her father looked around in confusion, wondering who she was talking to. Those words nearly brought Sahara to tears. He quietly thanked her. Then, without warning, blood began flowing from his right eye. 10 years ago, While Michi was playing alone at the park, she overheard parents and other children praising her older brother for being athletic and an amazing football player, while casually saying that Michi just existed. Kenta tried inviting Michi to play football with him, but she refused and simply ran away. Later that day, their mother scolded Michi for running away from preschool. Instead of listening, Michi dashed off again. Kenta tried to stop her, but Michi kicked him in the shin before running away. Afterward, Kenta overheard their mother sighing in frustration, wondering why Michi had turned out this way when Kenta was such an obedient child. Every day, Kenta watched Michi happily playing with Sahara and Chiaki. Seeing them together made him jealous. One day at the mall, Michi threw a tantrum, complaining that it wasn't fair. She argued that their mother was always buying things for Kenta, yet refused to buy her the magical girl wand she wanted. Their mother explained that she wasn't buying Kenta toys, she was buying football equipment. She promised to buy Michi's wand another day instead. Trying to calm the situation, Kenta told their mother to buy Michi's toy first and get his football shoes later. Their mother smiled and praised Kenta for being such a good older brother before agreeing to buy the wand. Instead of making her happy, it only embarrassed Michi. She suddenly declared that she didn't want the wand anymore. Throwing another tantrum, she shouted that she didn't need a big brother. She wished someone else were her older brother instead. Kenta finally lost his temper and shouted back that he didn't need a little sister like her either. Those words immediately made Michi burst into tears. The moment she started crying, Kenta regretted saying them. A few days later, Sahara tried to help the two siblings make up. He asked Kenta why they couldn't get along when Michi was such a cute and kind kid. Kenta replied that Michi simply preferred spending time with Sahara and Chiaki. Michi immediately agreed, saying that Sahara was a much better big brother. Chiaki and Sahara laughed, saying they were only children and were actually jealous that Kenta even had a little sister. Kenta bitterly replied that he didn't need someone like Michi and would gladly let either of them have her instead. Soon afterward, Chiaki headed home so she wouldn't miss her favorite magical girl anime. Sahara wanted to continue practicing football, but he couldn't because Michi still wanted to play with him. Then came the day of the accident. Kenta rushed to the hospital, where he found his mother crying. She kept saying that Chiaki had witnessed the accident, but hadn't called for help or told anyone. She even started accusing Chiaki of pushing Michi. As Kenta listened, tears streamed down his face. Deep down, he believed the real person at fault was himself. He was the one who left Michi alone. He was the one who told her he didn't need her. Walking through the hospital hallway, Kenta spotted Chiaki. Her clothes were stained with blood, and she remained frozen in shock. Back in the present, during football club practice, Kenta noticed two elementary school kids playing on the field. He walked over and told them they weren't allowed to use the grounds. The kids simply laughed, called him bald, and ran away. One of Kenta's teammates pointed out that he really didn't like kids before going back to practicing his goal celebration. His teammate mentioned that 10 years ago, the school had allowed elementary students to freely use the football field. Back then, they even held a huge tournament. Then, he remembered, on the day of that tournament, there had been an accident in the neighborhood. Their team ended up losing. Kenta quietly revealed that the victim of that accident had been his little sister. His teammate immediately felt guilty. He admitted that he had watched that tournament. After Kenta dropped out midway through, the team completely fell apart. They conceded goal after goal. Sahara kept cheering everyone on until the very end. Then, somehow, the team even scored an own goal, causing everyone to explode in anger at the player responsible. Kenta quietly admitted that he never knew any of that, because his family had moved away shortly afterward. He felt like he had ruined everything for so many people. His teammate tried encouraging him, saying he should pull himself together. Unlike Kenta, he still had to practice every day just to earn a regular spot on the team. After practice, Kenta headed to the hospital while his teammate was called over by the coach. Hidden among the bushes nearby, Mei silently watched him leave. At the hospital, Kenta found himself thinking about Sahara. Why didn't Sahara ever join the football club? Why did he even choose to attend this school? Just then, he overheard Taku talking to one of the nurses. Taku was saying that he couldn't stop drawing his terrible manga, even though he wanted to. Drawing them had become an addiction. As Taku continued saying increasingly ridiculous things, Kenta finally stepped in to save the poor nurse from the awkward conversation. The moment Taku noticed Kenta, he tried to run away. Instead, he tripped and nearly fell over. Kenta hurried after him, asking if he was all right. Since Taku had already recovered from his accident, why wasn't he back at school yet? He caught up to Taku and pinned him against the wall. Taku looked exactly like a cornered hamster. Once things calmed down, Taku explained that he was only at the hospital for a follow-up checkup. He would be returning to school the following week. Kenta told him that he should let Chiaki and Ren know he was all right since they had been worried about him. Taku nodded before wishing Kenta good luck in his upcoming football match. Then Taku admitted something. He envied Kenta. Everyone expected great things from him, yet he still got to do what he loved. Kenta quietly admitted that it wasn't that simple. His parents and teammates constantly pressured him into playing football, even though he didn't actually enjoy it. Taku laughed bitterly. Everyone kept telling him to stop drawing his awful manga. But no matter what, those were still the kinds of stories he loved drawing. Hearing that somehow made Kenta smile. For the first time, he felt like he finally understood why Sahara had been drawn to Taku. Looking confused, Taku was suddenly called over by the nurse. Before leaving, he wished Kenta luck once more and asked whether his leg was all right. Kenta replied that it was fine. That only made Taku ask why Kenta had been coming to the hospital in the first place. After a brief pause, Kenta decided to tell Taku a secret. Later, as Taku walked home, he ran into Mei, who was still investigating Kenta. It turned out she had been the one who sent Taku to the hospital to find out why Kenta kept visiting every day after football practice. Mei immediately asked whether Taku had spoken to Kenta and demanded that he tell her everything he had learned. Kenta had indeed told Taku a secret, but Taku refused to tell Mei. Even so, Mei continued pressuring him for answers. Back at the hospital, Kenta quietly sat beside Mishi's bed. In his hands was the magical girl wand she had wanted all those years ago. He softly asked if magic really existed. Kenta gently placed the wand beside his little sister before telling her that he would come back again tomorrow. Michi was still alive, but she remained trapped in a coma. Sahara dreamed of Mishi's ghost, who was always standing by the crossing, silently waiting for someone. Watching her like that made him feel as though he couldn't leave her alone. When Sahara woke up, he found himself on a bus he didn't remember boarding, heading somewhere he didn't know. He overheard a group of students from his school talking about the upcoming inter-school football match. Since the school invested heavily in the football club, every student was required to attend, even though most of them hated it. Still, some of the girls were excited to watch Kenta play. Listening to them made Sahara admire Kenta once again. He couldn't help but wonder if, had he continued playing football, he might have been standing on the same field beside him. But now, he felt it was already too late. As the bus stopped and Sahara stepped off, he immediately collapsed face first onto the concrete. Besides his destroyed right eye, his right leg had become horribly mangled, making it nearly impossible to stand. Every movement sent waves of pain through his body. Sahara began to wonder when he had truly died. Was it during the accident 2 months ago? No. To him, he had died long before that, on the day his grade school football team lost their tournament. When Kenta suddenly disappeared, Sahara had taken his place, only to accidentally score an own goal. His teammates blamed him for the defeat, and ever since that day, a part of him had never recovered. Forcing himself back up, Sahara dragged his broken body toward the stadium. No matter how much it hurt, he wanted to witness Kenta's biggest moment. Inside the stadium, Chiaki was serving as one of the committee chairpersons, guiding her classmates to their assigned seats under the blazing summer sun. The job was exhausting, especially since many of the students deliberately made things difficult because they had been forced to attend the match. Unable to endure the heat any longer, Chiaki suddenly fainted. Before she could hit the ground, Ren caught her and carefully helped her onto a nearby bench to cool down. Ren returned with a cold drink, giving Chiaki a chance to recover. Chiaki admitted that she had no problem attending school, but crowded places had always made her uncomfortable and irritable. It had been that way ever since she was a child. Ren was surprised. Even after knowing Chiaki for so many years, she had never realized she felt that way. Chiaki reflected that Sahara had been the one who helped her through those feelings. Back then, she had been helpless, but Sahara had unknowingly encouraged her to keep trying and had always been there to protect her. Because of him, she had been able to keep moving forward. Ren quietly admitted that she understood exactly what Chiaki meant. Sahara had helped her in much the same way. Even if he had never realized it himself, he had always been saving someone. Although Sahara could be insensitive, clumsy, and completely unaware of the people around him, Ren couldn't help but love him despite all of those flaws. Chiaki also admitted that she loved Sahara. Watching them from a distance, Sahara vaguely remembered those moments. Yet another part of him remembered feeling irritated whenever he had to help them. Deep down, all he had wanted was to spend his days fooling around and laughing without worrying about anyone else. Instead, he always felt as though everyone depended on him. He couldn't remember everything anymore, and perhaps he didn't want to. Chiaki confessed that she had always felt like a burden to Sahara. No matter how much time had passed, she believed she still hadn't changed. Not long afterward, she noticed Mei dragging Taku away and decided to follow them. Worried about Chiaki, Ren followed behind her. Sahara attempted to follow as well, but suddenly his left arm began to break apart. The pain spread throughout his body, making it difficult to move. Only then did a terrifying thought cross his mind. He was already dead. So why could a ghost still feel pain? Meanwhile, Kenta and one of his teammates hurried through the stadium hallway after arriving late. Elsewhere, Mei calmly drank water while using Taku as a footrest, as they waited for the match to begin. Curious about the delay, she continued ordering him around until Taku finally lost his patience. Unable to understand why Mei was acting this way, he begged her to explain, promising to keep whatever she said a secret. Mei teased him for making that promise, despite already failing to keep Kenta's secret, immediately catching him off guard. Even Mei admitted that she no longer understood why she had become so obsessed with the investigation. The more she uncovered, the less she could trust her own eyes. Taku argued that if even Mei couldn't make sense of everything anymore, there was no way he could. He continued pleading for an explanation. Before Mei could respond, Chiaki suddenly hugged Taku from behind with enough force to knock him face first onto the ground. She was simply relieved that he was alive. Ren arrived moments later and was equally happy to see Taku safe. She then asked why they were all gathered there instead of sitting with the rest of their class. Only then did Ren notice Mei. Remembering their previous confrontation, she sincerely apologized for hitting her. Seeing Taku's ridiculously happy expression from being embraced by two girls, Mei responded by kicking him squarely in the face before awkwardly apologizing to both Ren and Chiaki. At the same time, Kenta and his teammate finally reached the field. Instead of scolding him for being late, the coach simply asked whether he was ready. Everyone on the team relied on Kenta. Even Sahara had relied on him. It had always been that way. Ever since they were children, Kenta had been a football genius. Because of that, everyone naturally depended on him. It was even the reason Chiaki and Sahara had taken turns looking after Mishi, so Kenta could focus on practicing, despite Sahara wanting to practice football himself. As those memories resurfaced, Sahara felt a growing irritation deep inside him. The more he tried to suppress them, the more they overwhelmed him. Just as the team prepared to enter the field, Kenta's phone suddenly rang. It was his mother. The moment he answered, all the color drained from his face. Trembling uncontrollably, he immediately told the coach that he was withdrawing from the match before rushing out of the stadium because of an emergency. A powerful sense of déjà vu washed over Sahara. Everything was unfolding exactly like it had during elementary school. Back then, on the day of the tournament, Kenta had suddenly been told that one of his relatives had been involved in an accident, forcing him to leave before the match began. Only now did Sahara begin questioning something that had never made sense. If Kenta had moved away immediately afterward, then how had Sahara known that Michi had been the one in the accident? Why had Michi's ghost never spoken? And why had he become so convinced that Chiaki was the one who killed her? Was it only because he believed she had killed him? Completely overwhelmed, Sahara's buried memories finally began returning. On the day of the tournament, he had been with Michi. As always, she wanted to spend time with him, even though it was supposed to be Chiaki's turn to watch over her because of the football match. As his teammates left for the tournament, Sahara couldn't follow because Michi refused to let go of him. He repeatedly tried to explain that he couldn't play with her that day, but Michi stubbornly refused to listen. Eventually, his frustration boiled over. He shouted at her to be quiet. The sudden outburst shocked Michi into silence. Still irritated, Sahara told her that attending the match was something he absolutely had to do, just for that day. He instructed her to stay where she was and wait because Chiaki would arrive soon. Without thinking, he told Michi not to move. Not even from the middle of the crossing. Trusting him completely, Michi obediently stayed exactly where he had left her. A chill ran down Sahara's spine as the truth finally came together. It had never been Chiaki's fault. It had been his. At that very moment, the football match finally began. Kenta immediately hailed a taxi, regretting ever going to the football match. He was on his way to the hospital because of Michi. Back at the stadium, Ren wondered why the match had started late. She also worried about leaving Mei alone with Chiaki, but Taku reassured her that, despite how strange Mei could be, she was genuinely a good person. Taku then tried to apologize for drawing the terrible manga, but Ren stopped him before he could finish. Instead, she thanked him for making it and admitted that her behavior back in elementary school had been wrong. As Taku considered whether he should finally tell Ren the secret, he noticed that Kenta wasn't on the field. Meanwhile, away from Ren and Taku, Mei and Chiaki were having a proper conversation. Mei asked Chiaki directly if she had killed Sahara. She explained that she would accept any answer, a confession, an excuse, a denial, or anything else, as long as she heard it from Chiaki herself. Instead of answering immediately, Chiaki quietly sat down and began talking about her childhood. When she was little, her grandmother had told her that she was going to die soon. Hearing that made Chiaki incredibly sad, but she didn't know what kind of expression she was supposed to make. Mei couldn't understand what any of this had to do with Sahara's death. Chiaki continued explaining that her grandmother had told her she wanted to see Chiaki smiling, even when she was sad. From that day onward, Chiaki smiled whenever she felt sad. Then, during her first year of elementary school, her grandmother passed away. At the funeral, Chiaki smiled exactly as her grandmother had wished. Instead of understanding her, the people around her called her disgusting and strange. Only Sahara stood beside her. Knowing what her grandmother had told her, he quietly held her hand and supported her. From that day on, Chiaki naturally began following Sahara everywhere. Because of him, she became friends with Kenta and Michi, and her small world slowly began to expand. One day, Kenta called her and asked if she could babysit Michi because he had a football tournament, while their parents had suddenly been called into work. Since Michi didn't like Kenta, and Sahara also had to attend the tournament, Kenta had no one else he could rely on. Chiaki agreed. However, she decided she would leave only after finishing the magical girl anime she had been watching. Before leaving, Kenta had told Michi to stay away from the road and wait for Chiaki. Believing the anime would only take 15 minutes, Chiaki finished watching it before heading over. When she finally arrived at the meeting place, she found Michi lying in the middle of the road, surrounded by a pool of blood. The sight completely froze her. She couldn't move. She couldn't think. She remained standing there in shock until other people finally arrived to help. At the hospital, Michi's mother screamed at Chiaki, demanding to know why she hadn't called for help even though she had been the first to arrive. She even accused Chiaki of pushing Michi onto the road. All Chiaki could do was tremble while repeatedly apologizing. Kenta stepped in to defend her, insisting that none of it was her fault before telling Chiaki to go home. The following morning, Chiaki visited Kenta's apartment. Feeling responsible for the accident, she insisted on helping take care of Michi until she recovered. However, Kenta refused. He admitted that he blamed himself just as much. Even so, Chiaki stubbornly insisted that she would spend the rest of her life looking after Michi if she had to. Unable to bear hearing that, Kenta lied. He told Chiaki that Michi had died. Without hesitation, Chiaki declared that she would follow after her. Panicking, Kenta immediately made up another lie. He claimed that Michi hadn't died at all. Instead, she had gone to a magical kingdom, just like in the anime they loved, where she had become a magical girl. Chiaki wanted to go there as well, but Kenta explained that only those who were chosen could enter that magical world. He encouraged Chiaki not to be sad and to keep smiling because it was supposed to be something worth celebrating. Chiaki smiled exactly as he asked. That unnatural smile filled Kenta with guilt. He continued lying, telling Chiaki that his family would soon move away. He asked her to keep Michi's accident a secret from Sahara and everyone else, adding that they should all eventually forget about Michi. Deep down, Chiaki knew Michi hadn't become a magical girl. Even so, she could do nothing except believe Kenta's words. Time passed. One day at the park, Chiaki accidentally mentioned Michi's accident to Sahara. To her surprise, Sahara showed no reaction whatsoever. Even after all that time, Chiaki still didn't know how to deal with what had happened. She often wondered if things would have been different had Sahara been there that day. Eventually, she decided she needed to become stronger. She wanted to stop relying on Sahara so he would never have to clean up her mistakes again. She wanted to learn how to make her own decisions. Not long afterward, she found two classmates trapping a cat they often played with inside an empty drainage ditch. The two children left, telling Chiaki not to release the cat because they planned to come back for it later. Chiaki thought letting it go would probably be kinder, but since they had told her not to, she couldn't decide what to do. Unable to make up her own mind, she called Sahara and explained the entire situation, asking him what she should do. Sahara coldly told her that she should decide for herself. He even reminded her that everyone called her a natural airhead because she could never think on her own. Chiaki admitted that she simply believed Sahara's answers would always be more correct than hers. Already irritated, Sahara told her to let the cat out since it was trapped before abruptly ending the call. Following his advice, Chiaki released the cat. The animal immediately ran away. The next day, the two classmates became furious. They explained that they had only gone to the healthcare center for a short while before coming back, intending to take the cat home themselves. Chiaki explained that she had genuinely believed releasing it had been the right thing to do, especially after asking Sahara for advice. However, Sahara denied ever telling her to do that, leaving Chiaki to shoulder all the blame by herself. Listening to Chiaki's story from the present, Sahara couldn't believe he had acted so coldly. He didn't remember any of it. Perhaps those memories had simply been buried deep inside him. That day, Chiaki finally became angry with Sahara for abandoning her and pretending he had done nothing wrong. Even then, she continued apologizing over and over. Her constant apologies only irritated Sahara even more. Eventually, he snapped. He demanded to know why she could never make decisions for herself. Why did she always leave everything to him? Why couldn't she ever say anything besides, "I'm sorry"? Why did she keep acting as though everything was his responsibility? Why was she incapable of doing anything if he wasn't there? It wasn't just Chiaki. Taku and Ren were exactly the same. If Taku wanted to draw manga, then he should have enough confidence to stand by his own work. Ren needed to be more careful with the way she spoke, or she would only continue making enemies. If everyone kept relying on him, then every time something went wrong after he left them alone, it would somehow become his fault as well. In the middle of his outburst, Sahara accidentally let something slip. He angrily claimed that if Michi had simply listened to Kenta, the accident could have been avoided. That was the only time Chiaki had ever seen Sahara that furious. It also made her wonder whether Sahara somehow knew about Michi's accident after all. Listening to those memories unfold, Sahara remained in denial. He convinced himself that he couldn't have known because Kenta and Chiaki had hidden the truth from him. He buried the guilt as deeply as he could. Until the day he saw Michi's ghost standing alone at the crossing. The guilt he had tried so desperately to suppress finally overwhelmed him. Without hesitation, Sahara intentionally stepped into the path of an oncoming truck. Chiaki desperately tried to pull him back onto the sidewalk. She was too late. All she could do was watch as the truck brutally crushed him. At last, Sahara remembered everything. He had been terrified all along. It had always been his fault. He was the one who told Mishi to wait alone at the crossing. He was the reason she had been struck by the car. He believed he had killed Mishi. The realization filled him with overwhelming fear. He was terrified that he could hurt the people around him, hurt himself, and continue hurting others. Unable to face anyone any longer, Sahara returned to the crossing. Standing before Mishi's ghost once again, he silently wondered whether all of it had truly been his fault. As Sahara cried and begged Michi to answer him, he noticed the wind growing louder around them. Back at the stadium, Chiaki and Mei's conversation was coming to an end. Mei excused herself, saying that she had something she needed to do. Just then, Taku arrived and informed her that Kenta wasn't playing in the match. Someone had seen him leaving in a taxi. Without thinking, Taku accidentally revealed that Michi's condition might have gotten worse. Chiaki immediately overheard him, causing Taku to instinctively cover his own mouth. Ren was equally shocked by what she had heard. Desperately searching for help, Taku looked toward Mei, but she simply looked away as Ren and Chiaki began questioning him about Michi. Mei had already noticed that Sahara's ghost had disappeared somewhere, which was the real reason she had decided to leave. Taku tried to stop her, but Mei believed she had no right to interfere. Since she barely knew Michi, she felt that Ren, Chiaki, and Taku deserved to uncover the truth themselves. Taku struggled with whether he should reveal Kenta's secret. However, after seeing the determination on Chiaki's face, he finally gave in. He revealed that Michi was still alive. The accident had left her in a coma, and ever since Sahara's accident, her condition had become critical. No matter who came to visit her, she never reacted or responded to anyone's voice. Kenta had hidden the truth because he never wanted Chiaki to see Michi in that condition. But now that Michi's life was hanging by a thread, Taku believed Chiaki deserved the chance to be by her side one last time. Taku also revealed that during one of Kenta's hospital visits, he had realized Sahara's family had been hiding something as well. Back at the crossing, the howling wind drowned out every other sound. Sahara wondered if it had always been this loud. Maybe that was why he had never been able to hear Michi speak. Still trapped in denial, he desperately searched for another answer. He silently wondered if Chiaki had really been the one at fault. Michi gave him no response. Even then, Sahara continued trying to escape responsibility. Before he could sink deeper into his excuses, Mei finally arrived at the crossing. For the first time, the two were finally able to speak directly to one another. Mei saw straight through Sahara's lies. She realized that Sahara had become even better at lying than her own father, and what made it even worse was that Sahara genuinely believed the lies he had told himself. Sahara couldn't understand why Mei was suddenly able to hear him. Mei explained that she had finally figured it out because of what Taku had experienced, along with something her father had once told her. Instead of trying to see Sahara, she had begun listening for him. At first, his voice had sounded distorted, fading in and out before becoming clear. Looking back, she realized she had been hearing him all along. All she had heard was Sahara endlessly making excuses, desperately trying to convince himself that none of it was his fault. Mei finally realized that she could hear people who were close to dying, not the dead. However, Michi's surroundings were overwhelmed by something much louder. That could only mean one thing. Michi was dying. Mei silently urged Sahara to stop running away, face Michi properly, and finally listen to her. Sahara slowly walked toward Michi. With every step he took, the surrounding noise became clearer. It wasn't the wind, it was his own voice. The words echoed endlessly around him. They were the words he had spoken to Michi that day. He had told her to be quiet. He had told her to wait. He had told her not to move. Those words had become the only thing Michi could hear. She had obeyed him because she was afraid he would hate her if she didn't. She had waited exactly where he told her to. Then she was struck by the car. Ever since that moment, she had seen nothing. She had heard nothing except the endless sound of the wind. She remembered thinking that Sahara had come back for her once, but he had disappeared almost immediately afterward. Since then, she had continued waiting all alone. She was scared. She didn't want to leave. She believed she had to keep waiting, even though no one ever came. Seeing Mishi standing there alone, Sahara finally reached her. Overwhelmed with guilt, he apologized for making her wait for so long. Mishi immediately embraced him. She confessed that she had waited for Chiaki, but Chiaki never came. Deep inside, she had begun wondering if Chiaki hated her. Sahara assured her that it wasn't true. Chiaki had spent all this time searching for her. Compared to Sahara himself, Chiaki had suffered far more because of what had happened. Michi then wondered if everyone secretly hated her for being selfish and troublesome. Sahara denied it without hesitation. The truth was that everyone loved her dearly. She had always been precious to all of them. The two held each other tightly as they cried together. At last, Michi admitted that she wanted to return to everyone. More than anything, she loved Sahara and everyone who had cared for her. The moment those feelings reached him, a powerful gust of wind suddenly swept Sahara away, leaving Mishi all alone at the crossing once again. When he opened his eyes, he found himself lying in a hospital bed, his body wrapped in bandages and connected to countless tubes. Confused, Sahara wondered why he was there. Then he remembered something Mei's father had once said. Whenever someone died, the wind would immediately blow away the remnants they left behind. Ignoring the unbearable pain throughout his broken body, Sahara desperately tried to get out of bed. He immediately collapsed onto the floor. Even so, he continued crawling. He couldn't leave Mishi behind again. He painfully dragged himself across the floor. His cries echoed throughout the hallway. Moments later, Ren and Taku rushed into the room. Seeing Sahara awake, they immediately tried to stop him before his injuries became even worse. But Sahara cared about nothing except Michi. He finally admitted that everything had been his fault. If anything happened to Michi, then he believed he deserved to die as well. Ren desperately reassured him that Michi was still alive. At the same time, Ren couldn't hold back her own tears. She had believed Sahara was gone forever. Seeing him alive felt like a miracle. Overwhelmed with relief, Sahara completely broke down after hearing that Michi was still alive. Elsewhere in the hospital, the doctors and nurses were astonished to discover that Michi's condition was no longer critical. Sitting quietly beside her bed, Chiaki gently held Michi's hand as life slowly returned to the room. After things finally calmed down, graduation day arrived. As the students listened to the principal's speech and sang the school hymn, Sahara's popularity was still evident. Even now, some of the girls quietly wished he could have attended the ceremony. Ren was worried as well. She approached their homeroom teacher to ask whether it was really okay for Sahara not to come. Instead of answering directly, the teacher handed her Sahara's graduation certificate, saying that since Ren had been visiting him regularly, he wanted her to deliver it personally. Although Sahara couldn't attend school, the faculty had arranged a special exception so he could still graduate. His homeroom teacher had prepared the necessary report to make it happen. Ren couldn't help but ask why everyone had been told that Sahara had died. According to the teacher, it had been Sahara's parents' decision. At the time, nobody knew whether he would ever wake up or simply pass away. Rather than giving everyone false hope only to have it shattered later, they believed it was kinder to tell the students that he had died and simply ask everyone to be careful. Even so, Ren thought it was cruel. After finishing their conversation, Ren and Chiaki left for the hospital. Sahara sat in a wheelchair beside Mishi's bed when someone knocked on the door. It was Mei, who had skipped the graduation ceremony entirely just to check on his condition. She immediately roasted the terrible design of Sahara's hospital pajamas. Sahara defended himself by explaining that they had been a gift from Ren. Mei quickly noticed the way Sahara referred to Ren now. She instantly concluded that the two of them had started dating, and Sahara's blushing face confirmed it before he could deny anything. She teased him for having such a cute caretaker before calling the two of them boring, saying they could have at least hooked up in the hospital room. Sahara ignored the teasing and instead mentioned that Taku had grown up quite a bit. He no longer had any problem with Sahara dating Ren, although ever since then Taku had developed the strange habit of visiting the hospital with a box cutter hidden inside his pocket. That made Sahara wonder whether Taku and Mei had also started going out. Mei immediately denied it, insisting they only met to work on Taku's manga manuscripts. Sahara couldn't help pointing out that things had looked very different from his perspective while he had been wandering around as a ghost. Embarrassed, Mei started hitting him while insisting they were nothing more than friends. Eventually, Sahara admitted something more serious. He wondered whether he truly deserved Ren. Ren had devoted herself to taking care of him while he struggled through rehabilitation. Some days, the pain and frustration made him irrationally irritated, to the point where he simply wanted to hit something. Deep down, he couldn't shake the feeling that perhaps Ren was only staying beside him out of pity. Mei immediately turned the question back on him. If that was how he felt, then wasn't he also simply pitying Mishi? The question left Sahara speechless. It's already been a year since the day he stopped Mishi at the crossing during the football tournament. The only people who knew the entire truth were Mei and Sahara himself. Meanwhile, Kenta and Taku were on their way to the hospital. As they passed the crossing, they noticed fresh flowers still being left at the site of Sahara's accident. Kenta explains that the news of Sahara's survival had never been publicly announced. Many people still believed he had died. In fact, Kenta had known Sahara was alive from the very beginning. That was exactly why seeing flower offerings at the crossing had always bothered him so much. Every time he saw them, he would quietly kick them aside. Back at the hospital, Mei explained that ever since Sahara's accident, she had begun seeing ghosts. More accurately, her eyes couldn't actually see ghosts. She could only perceive people who were close to death. The periods when Sahara disappeared or blacked out while he wandered as a ghost had actually been moments when his consciousness was gradually returning to his body. If that consciousness never returned, however, the wind would slowly begin to blow. Eventually, the wind would carry away whatever remained of the dying person, and once that happened, they would never return. Fortunately, Mei believed Mishi wasn't going to die anytime soon, although she had no idea when she would finally wake up. As annoying as it was to admit, her father had been right all along. In the end, Mei realized she had spent all this time interfering in everyone else's lives because she believed she was pursuing justice. Thanks to Sahara, she had devoted herself to solving a murder case that had never even existed. Her ability to perceive the dying had given her a half-baked sense of justice. She had desperately searched for a culprit, believing there had to be a villain responsible for everything, convinced that exposing that person would save everyone. Instead, she discovered that Chiaki was simply an ordinary girl, just like herself. Chiaki had only wanted to save someone, failed, and spent years carrying the guilt. In the end, all Mei had accomplished was hurting people who were already suffering. Everything she had done had been unnecessary. Back then, she had believed Mishi was already dead and beyond saving. If Michi had died, Sahara would have disappeared as well. At the very least, Mei had wanted the two of them to meet one final time before they vanished forever. She quietly wondered whether even that had been unnecessary. Sahara immediately denied it. He believed Mei had done the right thing. He sincerely thanked her. Mei became visibly flustered. Trying to hide her embarrassment, she announced that she was leaving. Sahara tried stopping her, pointing out that everyone else would be arriving soon. Mei declined. She was supposedly meeting her friends for karaoke, and besides, there were simply too many people at the hospital that she didn't feel like seeing. As she prepared to leave for good, Sahara casually invited her on a double date with him, Ren, Taku, and herself. Mei simply called him an idiot before walking away. Watching her leave, Sahara couldn't help smiling. She really was a good person, just a massive tsundere. Thinking back, Sahara realized that every one of his friends had been a good person. After learning the truth, none of them blamed him. Even Taku and Ren had apologized to him, despite the fact that he believed he was the one who owed everyone an apology. Kenta insisted that the people truly responsible were his own family and the driver responsible for the hit and run. Even so, Sahara couldn't let go of his guilt. Trying to avoid sinking back into those darker thoughts, he turned toward the unconscious Mishi. He reminded her that he still had rehabilitation ahead of him because he had promised Kenta they would play football together again someday. He wondered whether he'd finally be able to walk by next month. By then, the cherry blossoms would be blooming once again, just like the day they had first met. Back then, Mishi had been fighting with other children, and afterward they had watched the sunset together beneath the blooming sakura trees. The memory was so beautiful that even now it almost brought him to tears. If he could finally walk again, he wanted the two of them to have a picnic beneath those same blossoms. As Sahara looked over at Michi, something made him freeze. Outside the hospital, Taku, Kenta, Ren, and Chiaki finally arrived. Taku excitedly shared some incredible news. Kenta had officially joined a professional football team. Chiaki responded with a cold, almost absent-minded congratulations before immediately walking into the hospital. Ren quietly explained that Chiaki had been like that ever since learning the truth about Michi. Kenta understood. After all, he had been the one who separated them in the first place. Wanting to lighten the mood, Kenta congratulated Taku for winning Rookie of the Year with his manga. The announcement immediately made Ren rush toward Taku, eager to read it herself. Completely embarrassed, Taku desperately tried to hide the manuscript. Elsewhere, Mei met up with Aoi. Kenta's teammate was happily spending time with his new girlfriend. Meanwhile, Mei's father sat all by himself at the graduation ceremony after his daughter had completely ditched him. Inside the hospital, Chiaki slowly walked through the quiet hallway. She gently knocked on Michi's hospital room, asking for permission to come inside. When no answer came, she carefully opened the door herself. The sight waiting inside immediately brought tears to her eyes. Her legs gave out as she collapsed to the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. Michi was finally awake. Beside her sat Sahara, crying just as hard. At long last, the three of them were finally together again.